congressional interaction right from the beginning of the setup of the classified executive order. It's my understanding. And if you look, I was talking with some people today. I did this as an exercise in Denver when I was the director of special projects at Channel 7, and I was working on A Strange Harvest. I went to the law library in Denver, and they knew who I was from Channel 7 and did lots of research. And all I did was say, would you please bring me the National Security Act of 1947? And the librarian looked at me and said, what volume? I said, all of it. She said, are you serious? I said, yeah, I want to see the whole act. She said, well, you're going to have to wait. It's going to take a while to get it all here. I had no idea what was going to come. And she brought the National Security Act of 1947 to me in 1 or 2 wagons. It was stacked. I don't remember now whether it was 17 volumes. It's probably 36 volumes now. And when I started reading Volume 1, and really in many ways, go through this exercise just to see how many volumes are brought to you from a singular act, the National Security Act that began in 1947. Do it as an exercise. But the part that struck me, because I looked at different pieces in a lot of the volumes, it was reading in Volume 1, the budget is set up outside of the purview of Congress. There is no oversight. It's all stated. This is an agency that is set up over here completely and totally autonomous. And what is happening in 2013, September, if you do not know about or have not heard about the Utah Data Center, it is 1 million square feet on the surface with God only knows how many underground levels of the largest ears and eyes spy installation that the world has ever known, owned, operated, and controlled by the National Security Agency a few miles west of Provo. And in this valley of trees in Utah, this 1 million square foot facility, the Utah Data Center, has been given approval by some representation. They have tried to pretend like they go to a Foreign Intelligence Committee in Congress to get some approval for what they do when they will run ripshod no matter what. A year ago, for those of you who read Earth Files and listen to Coast and Dreamland, you know that in December of 2012, not that long ago actually, I did a very long interview with William Bamford, who is the only human on this planet who has had the courage to write about the National Security Agency in 3 books. And because he was the first to do the Puzzle Palace about 20-some years ago, another man working inside the National Security Agency named William Binney sought out William Bamford for help. And the reason? After 9/11 and the horror and Holocaust of that, William Binney was approached by his overseers at the National Security Agency. William Binney had by then been working, I believe, for almost 30 years as one of the major mental architects of the National Security Agency's ears and eyes on the world. A brilliant, genius mind with zeros and ones. And William Binney says he was told that after 9/11, they now wanted him to do software to turn the ears and eyes of the NSA also on the entire United States. And William Binney, talking to Bamford, who has talked to me about this in great detail, William Binney told them that he would not. And they told him that if he would not, he would lose his job. And William Binney left the National Security Agency without any fanfare. Nothing reached the public. But a series of events occurred, and he realized that his knowledge was a threat. And he felt that events occurred and that his life was in jeopardy. That's why he sought out James Bamford. In the discussions with James Bamford that led up to December of 2012, a little less than half a year ago, chess moves are going on between the NSA and William Binney, and not just William Binney, but two other leakers. And Bamford said that he now realizes that we are at a point in the history of this country that is truly the metaphor of the frogs or the lobsters in the pot, in which the heat started being turned up at very low, and gradually we are now cooked in terms of a police state that is masquerading in red and blue and white bunting and elections that don't count. And Bamford said that in December they were standing together and they were talking because William Binney really doesn't know what's going to happen. And he said he was talking with Bamford about the Utah data center and everything that it will do, can do. It will listen to everything, every digital, every window vibration of every office. They now have technologies from satellites that can penetrate down, I've been told, 3 stories in a house or a building on an infrared. People that I've heard describe people making love in bed, on the toilet, it doesn't matter. They can see it in screens and in NSA buildings as clearly as day. And Bamford said that William Binney, almost exhausted in his frustration that the United States is slipping into a police state, while everybody seems to be aware of how sick everything is, and that Binney reached his hand out to Bamford in the room where they were standing, and he put his fingers about this far apart, 1/4 of an inch, and he said, "James, the United States is that close to a turnkey totalitarian state." And the context is the September 2013 official turn on the Utah data center, and this is May. And Binney told Bamford, who told me, that the astonishing underbelly of how all of this is occurring has even gone so far that the National Security Agency has gotten some committee to sign off on the fact that the NSA has presented a dictionary of its definitions of what it does that remains constitutional. Bamford laughed when he said this. That remains constitutional. And the one definition that I remember so clearly, because it is so backwards, upside down, Alice in Wonderland. NSA will be able to record every single conversation, email, window vibration, anything, everything. And their dictionary, what new NSA dictionary definition of intercept is now defined as: intercept occurs only when the digital information is analyzed by a human mind and translated into words on some sort of a document or digital communication that can be received and analyzed by another human mind, from which a report is made. How do we put that genie back in the bottle? And if we can't, and the extraterrestrials are at the base of the whole effort to spy and suppress and build policies of lying, because these 3-star commander says it will disrupt society and therefore we can never tell the truth. What kind of a prison are we in? And that's why I think the citizen hearing is so vital. And I am so glad I've been able to participate and meet some of you, and that I feel that people are beginning to understand how complex this all is, and that it is not easy. But my God above, if we do not have a nation that is based on facts and truth, and if we as a public allow ourselves to go forward in the future, knowing what we know and not trying to leverage up in the truth, then we get the nation and the world, I guess, that we deserve. It is really tough, and it all goes back to World War II. Our government in England deciding that there had to be a policy of denial about something that seems at one level so simple. We're not alone, and that other intelligences are interacting here, and we all should have been told then what a difference the last 60 years might have been. But at least maybe we still have a chance to get some truth.